about is he won, but he didn't win with the mandate he seems to think he won with. And I take the history that if they couldn't convince him in 2020 that he lost, it's probably hard to convince him in 24 that he didn't win with a sweeping mandate. But the things he's doing this week are so unpopular. Grifting, making his own billions in crypto, ending birthright citizenship, changing the Constitution. Very, very unpopular compared to his other immigration policies. For him, the politics are fantastic. The pardons of the people who abused and beat and carried out violence against law enforcement. What does that portend in terms of his interest in doing things that are good for him politically?
Well, let's start with the mandate question. So it's not only him that believes that he won with a mandate. I actually think it's the Democrats, for some reason, that believe that he won with a mandate. And if we look at it objectively, the Democrats failed at an intergenerational transfer of power. And so Joe Biden, for whatever reason, didn't want to give it up, didn't give the other side the other people at his party a chance to win that nomination, and yet they only lost by 0.5%. So the real question is, why isn't there more organized dissent related to what Donald Trump is doing? And then as it relates to whether it's good politics or bad politics, I think the way he's looking at this is if he can't get that constitutional amendment passed, which he's already got the House Republicans proposing that he gets the opportunity to run again. If he can't get that passed, assuming he can't, the politics of him right now are basically irrelevant. He's going to push things through and try to radicalize things in the direction that he wants, irrespective of the politics if he's a lame duck.
And what do we do in response? What should we do, Anthony? What would slow down what is, to use your words, a radical and dangerous agenda?
So listen, you have to go back into history. H.W. Brands wrote a great book called America First, the first America First movement, which was led by people like Charles Lindbergh and Louis Long and Farler Coughlin. Franklin Roosevelt was adept at organizing and being aggressive about the advocacy of the other narrative. And so this is happening all over the world, frankly. And so it's not just here in the United States, but it's in Europe. Same sort of nationalist tendencies are happening, same sort of this white nationalism, if you will. And for me, I think it's very simple. Let's get organized. Let's get as many people into the boat as possible to explain how wrong this is. These missteps on the Constitution can be pressed hard. Revoking birthright citizenship, which was really part of the healing process after the Civil War, is probably the most anti-American thing that an American president has done post-Civil War. And I think we've got to get more organized, and we've got to get more thoughtful people out there advocating about how wrong this is. Because, again, these margins are very small, Nicole. Yeah. It's not like he's got this. It's not like Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan had a baby and made Donald Trump. That's not what it is. It's Roy Cohn and Charles Lindbergh had the baby and made Donald Trump. So we have to go after him in a way that they would in prior times in America when this stuff has cropped up.
I will hold my thought about what that baby looks like.
Are those bad visuals for you?
Yes,
Are those bad visuals for you?
You totally. I got lost in the visuals. I conjured up an image of each, and then I was thinking about the baby, and I'm just lost in it. But Tim Miller can save me here. Now, listen, I agree with this idea that the Democrats are also misreading Trump's win as some sort of mandate, and I think part of it is it's stunning that he ran on some of these things and won. But enough already. I mean, there are teachers and principals all over the country, I would imagine, especially in red states, trying to figure out how to protect 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids. You know, they don't have time to stare at their gazels. There is someone with allegations of alcohol abuse and rape against him barreling toward being in the nuclear chain of command. Wake up. And I wonder if we're looking in the wrong places. I wonder, Tim, if you're seeing any signs of opposition outside of the elected Democrats.
Not enough, I guess. Look, you see some, and Chris Murphy's been out there. You've seen some examples of Democrats. AOC is talking, so it's not like that there's none. But just organized opposition, not nearly as much as 2017. I reject this notion that the resistance failed because Donald Trump got back in. No, it was resistance and opposition to Trump that led to his defeat in the midterms of 2018 and 2020. And so I agree with Anthony's point that the Democrats need to look at, back into history and to alternative ways to develop a narrative, a counter narrative, particularly to speak to working class people. Like, that's a long-term project for the Democrats. In the meantime, they need to oppose and oppose passionately and oppose vigorously, using the limited levers that they have. And just one tangible example of this, I saw in one of the newsletters this morning, one of the Capitol Hill rags, that the Democrats are already talking about cutting a deal with the Republicans to keep the government open in March and raise the debt ceiling and pay for the California fire stuff and pay for border stuff. Any of that stuff might make sense in a vacuum as on their own as good policy. But the Democrats need to stop this. Like, the country needs to see the unpopular policies and the incompetent governance that this MAGA party is planning, and they need to see it clearly, and they need to see the Democrats as in clear opposition to it, and that is the job for this year. And so I get very concerned when I start to hear that the Democrats think that the lesson that they need is to cut some deals with Mike Johnson and John Thune and Donald Trump. No, let those guys do some work, and let's see their unpopular proposals in action, and let's speak clearly about the people that will be harmed for them. And I think that's really the Democrats' job for the next 6 to 12 months.
Anthony Scaramucci, it is a bizarre position to be in, to be defending. I guess it's not bizarre. I mean, whether you agree or disagree with Mike Pompeo or John Bolton, it was President Biden's position, and it is mine, that they should have protection from a foreign actor who threatens their lives, and that is Iran. That is their security situation, as far as any of us knows. Donald Trump said, "You're on your own." He's mad at both of them. He also fired Brian Hook, who was very involved in the transition. What is going on in terms, and there's a very public fight right now between Elon Musk and Steve Bannon. It is clearly not all, rainbows and unicorns and chocolate fondue in MAGA world. What's going on?
Well, there's a fight for the core of MAGA, and the real interesting part about it is Trump himself is not MAGA. Just take a look at what he did. He's got the billionaires lined up right behind his family. The people that are in his government that supposedly represent MAGA were behind them. And trust me, I know him. He's a very detail-oriented guy that way in terms of aesthetics. That was done by design because he wants to show those people, those sent-up billionaires, if you will, as supplicants to him. He's calling into the World Economic Forum. Steve Bannon hates the World Economic Forum. And so Trump definitionally sort of is weirdly not MAGA. Elon Musk is obviously not MAGA. Perhaps Steve Bannon is. And so there's a war going on there. But again, Trump doesn't care about that stuff because he's won the election. And so the ensuing politics, not that big of a deal to him. People would push back. I mean, say, oh, no, but the congressional midterms. Does anybody here think that he cares about what happens in the congressional midterms? I'm going to tell you right now, he marginally does, but not really, because everything is about him. So look at it through the following prism. Am I getting a lot of attention, or am I making a lot of money? And that's Donald Trump. And the way to beat him is to get to the normal people that are currently apathetic about the situation and bring them into the swimming pool with us.
All right. We'll continue to turn to both of you on that conversation. Anthony Scaramucci and Tim Miller, thank you both so much. Up next for us, the new White House suddenly putting the nation's health agencies on pause. We'll get reaction and look at the consequences to the lives and the health and the